Hi guys, can you hear me okay? Yeah, for some reason it shouldn't actually be playing the sound from that video, but it is. I'm going to try and mess around with it and shut it up because it's getting on my nerves. Can you hear me now guys? Yeah, it's actually set so the desktop audio is switched off, but for some strange reason it's actually picking it up, and I've no idea why. Yeah, that's Coco being a pain in the arse. There you go guys, I've shut it up now. Why is it still playing? Oh, that's better. There you go guys, I've shut it up now. Why is it still playing? Right, so how is everybody? Right, so how is everybody? Yeah, I've deleted the actual video off Mags. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna have to have a look at it. But for some reason, it's actually picking up the audio from the video. But I've actually got the option on Streamlabs for the desktop turned off. The sound's only supposed to be running through the mic, but it seems to be putting the mic and the sound through at the same time. Hang on a minute. I've got an echo probably because I've got. Hang on. Can you hear me still? Yes? No? Yeah, I've just muted Facebook. I'm gonna have to mess around with this lot and see how it all works with that sound. I've set up a few. Do you like that, guys? That's what happens when a new subscriber pops in. Yeah, I've muted YouTube itself, Joanne, because otherwise I think there's a 20-second delay on this that you can't get round. So it's basically playing what I'm saying via the speakers. But I'm going to have to go onto YouTube later and Google how to shut the desktop up, because from what I can see on the actual setup it's turned off, but for some reason it's playing. No idea why. Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing, Llama. That's why I've muted YouTube now. So has anybody got anything exciting going on? Anybody got any paranormal gossip? And by gossip I don't mean a certain uh, issue that's been discussed to death over the last few days. Yeah, Cherry, it's a bit of a funny setup, Streamlabs. Yes, Joanne, thank you, I'm fine. Um, in the middle of trying to find a new house, because the old landlord's trying to make me homeless at the moment, but apart from that I'm fine. Is that right, Llama? Okay. Your tech skills are that good, Llama, it took you 3 days to turn your ketones off. Yeah, Joanne, basically they sold the house without letting me know they were selling it. The new landlord bought it, um, and never even notified me for 3 months who he was, and I couldn't find out who he was. And then when he did finally get in touch, he's now bumped the rent up by an extra £50 a month, and he wants to bump it up by an extra £100 a month, which there's no way I'm paying, not for you. So basically, I'm in the process of finding somewhere new at the moment. Yeah, Mag, Streamlabs is really, really strange. I've messed around with OBS Studio before, and that seems to work a bit better. But this one's just a pain in the arse. I've got all the bits and pieces set up for the chat and things like that, but the sound I'm having a right game with. Yeah, they did, Mags. It's been honestly, it's been a complete and utter nightmare. And then to top it all off, the guy has tried to charge me rent from May, and I've now found out he didn't actually own the bloody house until June. So he's been trying to con me out of an extra month's rent, playing it crafty, making out he actually owned the house a month before he did. I'll get myself sorted, it ain't a problem. So have you sorted your issues out with everybody on Eileen's channel now, Llama? Are you going to behave yourself from now on? Chris, to be honest with you, I've been advised to report it for fraud, because basically the tenancy agreement I've got ain't legal, because the date on it is actually a month before he owned the house, and it's in the name of a woman, and it's a bloke who keeps claiming it's his mortgage and stuff. It's all mixed up and a right mess at the moment. Exactly, Mags. Last thing I want, that's the last thing. You start off on that kind of footing with a landlord. I ain't doing it. If he's prepared to con me right from the start, what else is he going to do it in the future? Just don't trust him. Yeah, it's very dodgy legal ground at the moment because I've been told the tenancy agreement I've now got ain't actually legal anyway. It can't be enforced because he's given me a tenancy agreement for the date he don't own the house. I'm surprised Eileen ain't popped in. We're actually thinking, folks, of going back to Wombwell Woods in the next 4 weeks. Back to the pool where we did our video with the um, claimed suicides and whatnot. Um, we've been waiting through the summer because we did actually do a few investigations over the summer, but when we got there was so many people around and so much noise, it was just pointless doing the spirit box sessions and stuff. So we've waited now until winter's starting to come on when it gets darker earlier, so there's going to be less people hanging around. Yeah, it was a great area, Mags. I want to revisit Uberstand as well. The Needles Eye, I'm not so much bothered about. It was an okay investigation, but not my favourite one. Jace has been trolling the internet for a few more locations around here as well, and there's a few more we've got as possibilities in the pipeline. You see her on TV, Chris? Llama, llamas never behave appropriately. They're famous for spitting for a start off. How are you getting on with the spirit boxes, Mags? Have you done many decent sessions lately? Sorry, I had something in my throat then. Hello, Kaya. I need to get me a webcam sorted out as well because I've got no webcam at the moment. I know the camcorder I've got with the night vision on it can actually double up as a webcam, but I need to get a long enough cable to set it up properly because it needs a cable to connect into the computer. So I'll get that sorted as well, so we can have a proper webcam on here. Yeah, Mags, we've been having a lot going on here in the house again lately. I'll actually send you a picture when I come off this of what happened the other day. I've got a projector in the living room that's like quite high up on the wall with a DVD player underneath it. And I finally decided to dust it because I dust it probably once a month because it's up and out the way. And when I went to dust it on the top, somebody has written the word help in the dust across the top of the DVD with an exclamation mark. Now, I swear it's not my writing, and I actually didn't tell Jason what it was, and I got him to write something out for me, and I didn't think it was his handwriting, and it's not his handwriting either, but it's actually the word help scribbled in the dust right the way across the top of my DVD with an exclamation mark at the end of it. But it's written very strange because the H is a capital H. Hi, Joanne. The E is like in a moon shape, and the L is actually a lowercase L, and then back to a capital P. But I'll send it you later, Mags, because I've got it on my computer. I sent it to somebody else the other day to show them, and then the night before last, Jace was in the kitchen again, and he had the drawer shoot out at him. So the activity in this house here is actually ramping up again, which, as you know, it comes in spits and spurts here. We'll get things happening for a few weeks, and then for a few months we get nothing, and then it all kicks off again. But it looks like we're in the middle of a ramp up stage again. Um, I've had nothing, experienced nothing overly strange apart from that writing on the. Now, Mags, I haven't done a session on it yet, but I'm thinking about doing it. Like I say, I've still got the picture. I might do a quick video to show the photograph. Um, because it's really odd why anybody would write the word help. It turns out as well that the neighbour 4 doors down has also been having problems. I've only just found out about this. Apparently they're having similar kind of things. Apparently his wife does a lot of watercolour painting, and they've been going to bed on a night, and when they've been getting up on the morning, all the brushes that she's cleaned and dried off are soaking wet, and there's smears across the painting she's been doing. Um, they've been having thumps on the bedroom floor while they've been lying in bed. Hi Sandra. Um, they've got breakfast bar stools in the kitchen, and apparently while they've been sitting in the living room, they've been hearing them spinning, and when they've gone in, they've just been slowing down. They've been having drawers opening and closing, but they haven't actually seen anything in the house. It's all auditory and like it is here. It's things that go on out of sight. Luckily, I ain't had any voices in here for a few months. The dogs have been settled. Nobody's been calling the dogs, but it all seems to be concentrating in the kitchen at the moment. They've had no more shadows up on the landing, which is quite nice because Jace was starting to get a bit freaked out about the landing and stuff and the shadows. He ain't seen the dog lately, which is quite good. I've never actually seen a dog here, but Jace has seen it twice. He's seen the shadow of a dog. The only shadow I actually saw here was the one that night when he was upstairs getting in the bedroom, and I saw that shadow move from the landing onto the stairway and then back onto the landing again, which I thought was Jason on the landing, and then he walked out the bedroom from the opposite direction. But that's nice for you. That's nice, Llama. But now, Mags, the landing's been extremely quiet lately. Thank God. Um, I had the last thing I had upstairs that I experienced was that really strange hiss that I got that I heard in the bathroom the one night when I was in the bedroom. Well, I'd just gone to bed, and it was a really really loud. It was like steam escaping from a pipe, but it was a real loud hiss. And I hadn't got no central heating on or nothing at the time because it was in, it's been in the summer. But it's it's been more things that have been done while nobody's watching at the moment, apart from the night before last when Jace had the drawer open on him while he was actually standing in the kitchen and did his usual, come screaming into the living room all panicky again, but he seems to be okay about it. I've had nothing appear on the DVD this week, but I deliberately ain't dusted it to see. The only other thing I noticed is the actual. I checked the actual projector the other night to see if there was anything on that because that is actually even higher above the DVD player. And when I looked, you could see where the remote control had also been moved across, and there was very tiny, looked like marks made by like a small finger, like a very small child's hand. The person I showed it to actually said it looked like a Chinese symbol, which looking at it, I suppose it does. But it just seems to be like scrolls on top of the actual projector itself. Llama, do not mention AVP on this. Keep the tone, I don't mind certain things, but that's going a bit. The thing is, Mags, it's because it's I up. I'm a lazy git. I don't bother dusting it that often because it's just when I use the projector, if ever I'm using the computer or if I watch a movie or stuff. So it ain't, it's out of sight sort of thing. It ain't at eye level, and then But I will send. I'll hang on. Let's see if I can. I've got it on my phone, Mags. I'll send it to you on Facebook now. Just give me a sec. So you can actually see what it is. But I might do a video on it actually. But hang on. But you tell me what you think about it because it is really strange. There you go, Mags. I've just sent it you. You should basically have it through now. But that is not my writing, and it's not Jason's writing either. And there's been nobody else in this house for months. For months. But as you can see, you know, it's literally written right across the. It's written right across the actual DVD, and the DVD players, I'd say about 14, 15 inches wide. So you can see how big the writing is. I'm just checking, see if I've got the other one that was actually the projector itself. I'll send you that one if I have. I did actually take one of the projector, but I don't seem to be on here now. Now you won't see anything, Llama, because I've sent it via Facebook to Paranormal people. It's actually a photo on my phone, but I will try and email it to myself, and then I'll put it on. I'll put it on the screen. Give me a second. Chat amongst yourselves. I'm trying to work out how to send it on this. They've changed the bloody mail again. Right, I'll just access it on the. Yeah, it's really strange writing, Mags. I honestly don't know where it's come from. It did actually creep me out a bit, if I'm honest. Hang on, I'm just accessing my email. I'll try and get it put on here so people can see what it is. But it is a strange one. It's definitely a strange one. Just give me a second. Just chat amongst yourselves. I ain't the fastest person in the world doing this crap. don't know if you can see that, folks, but that is basically what um, that is basically what it was. So I have no idea where that came from. And that is actually what appeared on top of the DVD player. And that is actually, I've no idea who wrote it, Lama. It's not my writing, and it's definitely not Jason's writing either. But that was exactly, as you can see, I never even noticed it when I started swiping the dust off the front of the What's-It. It's basically a word that appeared on top of my DVD player that's connected to my projector on the wall. It's actually written in the dust on the top of the DVD player. But as you can see, Mags, there's no fingerprints on there, and whoever's written it has written it like it's been written from above, and that DVD player is like 3/4 up the wall. So it's definitely a strange one. Anyway, definitely a strange one. But that's the latest thing we've been having going on here. It's a normal shape DVD player, Llama. That's actually the top of the DVD player. But as you can see, that is basically what appeared on the DVD player. Yeah, it really is, Mags. Really is. The other really weird thing that actually freaked me out was after it had happened. But you know what Jace is like, Mags, for being half soaked and dozy. Jace was sitting on the sofa about half an hour after he turned up because I actually rang Jason and said, you've been playing silly buggers and scribbling on top of the DVD player and he didn't know what I was on about. When he got here, he basically told me that 2 weeks before that had actually appeared on the DVD player, he said he actually had a funny dream while he was staying here the one night, and he said he dreamt he was he was in the bedroom, and there was an old wardrobe in the bedroom where my wardrobe actually is at the moment, but it wasn't that wardrobe. He said it was an old ornate thing. He said, and the door opened and there was an old bloke in there with no teeth. He says, and the old bloke said to him, "She locks me up in here, help." And he just mentions this casually half an hour after we'd found this thing, I'd found this writing on the What's-It. But it was funny, apparently that was 2 weeks before it actually appeared. But he said the old man in the dream, in the wardrobe, said, "She keeps me locked up in here, help." But this is Jason for you. Jason doesn't make connections, he's a bit half-soaked in that respect. Like, when I said to him, well, Dan, you think that might have been worth mentioning as soon as I told you about this? To which his response was, well, no, because he said help at the end of the sentence, not at the beginning of it. But that's Jason for you. Yeah, I just found it really weird. The fact that this old guy in the dream he'd had, that was set in this house, actually said the words help to him. Hi Sean, welcome to the chat. It's only basically a test. But yeah, it's just really freaky. But as to whether anything else is going to happen here or not, I do not know. Because like I say, it does ramp up. It'll ramp up. It seems to hit a certain level, and then I ghost, and then it drops off again for 2, sometimes 3 months before anything else goes on. But like I say, the night before last was the last real occurrence we had in here, and Jay said he was actually in the kitchen, and one of the drawers actually slid open. What he heard it starting to go, and he turned around and he actually saw it slide open. But yeah, they do tend to pick on Jace because Jace is he's quite jumpy and he's very easily scared. And I think whatever it is, he knows that. I honestly don't think it's anything malevolent or nasty. I think it's more mischievous than anything else. So what you been up to, Jim? Let's see what's been going on in the chat. Sorry, because I missed a lot of it. Um, Above was reasonably well behaved in a live stream if a couple of days ago. I think he was one of a few who didn't get timed out. Yeah, I always behave myself in chats. I may crack the odd joke or so, but I do tend to be quite well mannered in that respect. Yeah, it's been bad here today. Luckily, it ain't. I don't think it's actually raining at the moment. It just looks overcast, but it was actually absolutely pelting down here earlier. And I know they've got it bad on the other side of the Pennines as well. So there you go. To be honest with you, I ain't really been following much of what's been going on YouTube on the paranormal side of things for the last few weeks. Obviously, because what's been going on with the house, and two, because I was getting a bit sick of all the drama and stuff. So, oh, is it pelting down where you live, Sandra? Yeah, somebody said earlier on Eileen's channel mags that it's bad. It was bad over that side of the Pennines. It was really heavy here this morning. I mean, to the point where you couldn't, because I've got quite a good view out my back window over the Rotherham Valley and stuff, and you literally couldn't see across the valley. It was just hazy with rain. I've got to get a cable sorted out for my camcorder, Jim, because I can use. I haven't got an actual webcam, but I can use the camcorder as a webcam. I was actually thinking one of the nights to set up the computer with the camcorder at the top on the with the landing and maybe the K2 meter. I won't be talking on it. I'll be going to bed, but I'll just leave it run overnight and leave it run live and see if anything happens with the K2 or the voice recorder and stuff. Yeah, it's been like that here, Mags. I'd got the lights on this morning at about 10 o'clock. I think I'm just one of them lucky people that when it rains, it don't really affect my internet, because a lot of people tend to have internet problems when the weather's bad. But we're okay here. I'm just gonna have to go quiet a sec because Jace has just rang. Back in a sec. Sorry about that, folks. Jace just rang. But yeah, I'm thinking about setting the camcorder up on the landing to try and cover the landing and the bathroom where a lot of it tends to happen, and see if anything happens overnight. Well, as you can probably tell with me, Sean, I'm originally from the West Midlands, but I actually live in Rotherham now. To be honest with you, from what the weather forecast been saying, I think we've got the rain for a week or so yet. I ain't found any more writing at all, to be honest with you, Mags. That's the only bit of writing I found, and the one that was on top of the projector, which weren't actually. It was just like lines, and the remote. You could see the remote had actually been moved as well. It had been picked up and moved a couple of inches across the top of the projector, because I've got the remote up there, because I never used the remote on the projector. It's just chucked up there out the way. But I've got like a glass TV cabinet and stuff, and there's nothing appeared on that. Same with the glass coffee table, but it was actually a bit freaky when I saw it, because when I looked up on the top and went to get the duster, I never noticed it. It was only when I started to flick it off the front that I suddenly realised there was something there, and me being me, straight on the phone to have a shout at Jace about playing silly buggers, but it genuinely ain't him. I know Jace ain't the jokey, he ain't the practical joker type anyway. But you know, I know when Jace is lying. Oh, that's nice. Return of the llama. Yeah, that's how it was with us earlier, Jim. It was like fog. It was coming down that thick. It looked like fog across the valley. Who knows? We might be in the start of Armageddon. Yes, llama. It was bought brand new. I bought it brand new. I bought a Samsung, a 3D Samsung, a little Samsung TV to plug the computer in, and the DVD player's Samsung as well. I bought them brand new. They've never been owned by anybody else. I can't do that, Mags, because these two would just lick it up. It's one of the things I did think trying, but if I put flour or anything on the floor or talc, these pair of pillocks here, the dogs are just going to lick it up, and I don't really want to be sprinkling flour all over me electrical stuff. Oh, it's definitely intelligent, Joanne. If you know if you don't know if you know the full story of what's been going on over here over the 3 years I've lived here, there's all sorts. Um, it went through a stage of actually mimicking Jason's voice and calling the dogs into the kitchen. I'd be sitting in the living room with the dogs, because normally when I'm here on my own, they just plonk on, because I've got two settees, and I normally sit on the one, and they normally fight over which one's going to sit next to me, and then the loser lies on the other sofa. But it was Jason's voice, and I've heard him come in through the front door. I've heard the front door go, and Jace, when he comes in, he always says hello, 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 hello to the dogs in a really silly sing song voice. And it was it basically went on for about 2 months. Jason's my partner, Llama. Jason's my other half, and it started off with this hello, 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 and I weren't just hearing it, because the dogs were basically running into the kitchen all excited to meet him like they do, and nobody there. And then between 15 minutes and a half hour later, Jason turned up. Well, the house has actually got an history, Joanne, if the neighbours are to be believed. Couple of months after I'd moved in and things started to happen, I did actually mention it to one of the neighbours about what was going on, and two of the neighbours, because I live in a row of Coco's one of my dogs, Llama. Coco's my big rescue that I rescued from Romania, and Kaya is my Shiba Inu. But the neighbour, one of the neighbours, yeah, there's a history here. Two of the neighbours have told me that apparently a gentleman hung himself in this. It's well over 100 years old. Um, Two of the neighbours have told me that there's a gentleman hung himself in the house, apparently on the landing where a lot of this stuff has gone on in the past. But the next door neighbour, the neighbour two doors down, is still actually friends with the woman who lived here before I moved here, a Shiba Inu, Japanese Shiba Inu. Um, I haven't got an emu, but Inu is Japanese for dog. Basically translated from the Japanese llama, it's small red dog, Japanese Shiba Inu. But I actually got talking to the previous owners of this house, and her husband was actually living in the house before they met. He'd been here 16 years, and then obviously they'd met, got married, and they'd got two daughters, and they'd lived here for 16 years before I moved in. Apparently, they used to witness a young girl in the house. Now, I'll be 100% honest. I have never ever seen a young girl in this house. Never, not once. Um, Apparently, she also appeared to. That's funny, Chris. Apparently, she actually appeared to the boyfriend of the oldest girl's daughter as well. The eldest daughter's boyfriend. She appeared to him in the bedroom the one night. But apparently, she's been seen here quite regularly in this house when they were here. Um, from what I can gather, she wasn't aggressive or she didn't cause them much trouble. Apparently, it was similar things to what's happening now. They used to have light bulbs blowing here all the while, and to be honest with you, I've had exactly the same problem here. I've had the wiring checked and stuff by the landlord, and they've said the wiring and stuff is fine in the house. But if I use normal light bulbs in this house, they last probably 4 to 6 weeks and then they blow instantly, especially in the living room and up on the landing. But the house has got a history of. I've no idea, Mags. He was only a He was only a teenager, obviously, but I know the husband and wife saw the girl on 2 or 3 occasions, and I know the daughters have seen her as well. But I have never actually seen a child in this house, boy or girl. The only thing I have ever actually seen in this house was that shadow on the landing that night, and when I tried to recreate that shadow to make the same height on the wall, it would have had to have been about 7 feet tall. I kid you not, to cast the size of shadow that it cast on the wall. But that's the but Jace has seen a couple of shadows. Jace is absolutely you know convinced that what he calls a German Shepherd. He says he's got he says he's the dog. He's seen a dog here a couple of times, the shadow of a dog, and he says it's got pricked up ears like a German Shepherd. That's the way he describes it, as German Shepherd like. The thing I actually saw at the top of the stairs was upright and it was big, but it wasn't human shaped. Well, it was just a very tall mass. That's all I can describe it as. It weren't actually human shaped. But the house has got a history of haunting before I moved in, and like I say, I found out last week that the neighbours 4 doors down have been having similar problems as well. I know that the neighbour 3 doors down, um, yeah, it could very well be a Doberman, but the only way Jace describes it as is he says it's got pricked up. He's never actually seen the dog. He's seen the shadow of the dog, and he just describes it as pricked up ears like a German Shepherd. Yes, Mags, you did. The one that looked like he was shimmering with heat. But as to the breed of dog llama, I've got no ideas because See, I've worked with dogs for years. I've judged, and I worked in the kennels for a number of years, so I'm quite up, and I've shown Kaya at various shows around the country, so I'm quite well up on dogs. Jace not so much, but the only way he describes it is that it's got pricked up ears like a German Shepherd. The dogs are constantly barking at things that ain't there. Kaya was doing it again the other night, staring up at the ceiling, looking at something that weren't there. But like I say, the dogs have never been threatened by anything. They all they used to do when we were going through that phase where we'd got the voice, Jason's voice calling them, they used to run into the kitchen quite happily, thinking it was him. But there's no harm ever been brought to the dogs, and they've never appeared scared. They have barked at things that are not there, and Kaya is quite prone to go and stand at the bottom of the stairs and stare up the stairs. That's the only thing, this odd behaviour is Kaya does on, quite frequent occasions, go and stand at the bottom of the stairs and stare up the stairs. And when I've looked, there's nothing there, so if she can see something, I've no idea. But she definitely watches someone at the top of the stairs. No, Mags, I've only ever seen that shadow here once. Jace has seen shadows here a couple of times, but I've only ever seen that one shadow. No, Llama, because the problem was there was no regularity to it. I'd basically just be sitting here on the computer doing something, and the voice would call out. There was no set time of when it happened. It was totally random, and it may have happened once or twice in a week, and then it didn't happen for weeks after, and then it did it again, and it went on for a period. I think it was about 3 months. It went over for on and off, but it was intermittent and it was totally random. I actually said I wish I could have recorded it, but to catch it, it would have meant I'd have had to record in this house 24/7 to get it. But had it had just been me hearing it, I'd have just put it up, brushed it off as imagination. But the dogs were actually jumping up and running into the kitchen, barking all excited, thinking Jace was coming in. Because I actually heard the front door open as he was coming in, because my front door leads is directly onto the kitchen. And then the kitchen, you got the kitchen straight into the living room with just a tiny little square bit at the bottom where the stairs go up to the first floor. So I'd be sitting on the sofa, doing whatever, either watching TV or on the computer. I'd hear the door go, thinking Jason had come, and then I'd hear this voice, hello, 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 this sing-song voice that he does to get the dogs excited, and the pair of them would just shoot up, bounce up off the settee and go running into the kitchen. The first time he did it, I actually thought he'd come in, wound the dogs up and ran off and hid. So when he turned up I think it was about 15-20 minutes later, I actually gave him a right bollocking as he came through the door for winding the dogs up, and he hadn't got a clue what I was on about. But it happened probably 7 or 8 times over a period of about 3 months. No idea, Joanne. I've no idea. Like I say, it was just so totally random on when it occurred. The door noise was the actual door opening. Somebody coming in, opening the door, coming in and shutting the door. And I actually gave I literally gave him a right bollocking the first time it happened for winding the dogs up. Because they got all excited and barky, and then I had to calm them down because I sat in the living room for 2 minutes thinking, what the hell's he playing at? What's he doing? Because he'd said it and then no sign of him, and when I got up to look where he was, he weren't there. Bye, Sandra. I've no idea, Stephen, what breed of dog it is. All Jason describes it as is the size, German Shepherd with pricked up ears. That's what he describes it as. I've never seen it. I've never ever seen it. But Jason's seen it about 3-4 times. That's the point, Llama. I don't think the door actually did open. It was the sound of the door opening and then the sound of the door closing. I don't think the door actually opened. It was just the sound of the door. And the door's open. It's not locked. You know, all he has to do is pull the handle down and come in. But that was go. How long ago has that been since that's been going on, Mags? It's been about 5 months ago, isn't it? 5, 6 months ago that was going off. But that's stopped now. I've had no voices in here, but I, I've had an hissing in the bathroom the one night. I went to bed and I was sitting in because I've got my bedroom door open and the bathroom's quite close to on opposite side of the landing to my bedroom, and there was a loud. I used to keep boa constrictors, and when they hiss, they've got a very distinct, loud hiss, and it sounded like a hiss. They're a large snake or air escaping under pressure from a pipe. Yes, it's an external door. It's the front door, Llama. It's the front door that leads outside. But it is an external door. See, as you can hear now, they're going to the door again. But it sounded like this a large boa constrictor or python would do when they're annoyed. It was a proper hiss, and it went on for about 5 or 6 seconds. Yes, because I've got a garden. I've got a garden, Llama. When I'm in my house, I don't lock that door because that's the way in and out. It don't lead straight onto the street. It leads into my front yard, which is walled and fenced off. But yeah, that is the only time I've ever that hiss was the only time that I've ever felt that it may have been more malevolent. I've never had anything really happen here that's made me think there's anything evil here as such. Honestly, Mags, it was an horrible sound. It really was an horrible sound, and it had got a quite a vindictive tone to it. Like I say, it sounded like because I used to keep boas. Obviously, they would get pissed off every now and again. And big snakes, they've got this very distinctive hiss. Now, never seen any ectoplasm here at all, Llama, none whatsoever. Never seen no smoky apparitions. The only thing we've had here is sounds and shadows. I've never seen anything here. But like I say, the previous tenants who lived here for 16 years, they actually used to see a full-bodied apparition of a young girl of about, from what I can gather, about 7 or 8 years old. That size. I'm glad you've eaten, Cherry. Nothing worse than feeling starved. But no, personally, I've never seen a young girl here. Not once. But like I say, the previous tenants have on numerous occasions, and they've had the problem with the electrical, with the lighting and stuff, with the bulbs. But oh, it started raining again now, starting to hammer it down. But I've actually got Philips Hue bulbs here now, LED bulbs, and they don't tend to blow. But if I put normal bulbs in any of the lighting, any of the sockets in this house, they will last 4 to 6 weeks maximum, and then they'll blow. Llama. I've no idea. Mags has asked me this in the past, as have a couple of other people. We are near the top of quite a large hill in Rotherham. I know they were originally these houses because we're a row of 7 houses on our own at the end of another street, um, and they were originally built for the mining community. They were originally miners' houses, Whether there's mines under the house itself, I do not know. Obviously, we're in Rotherham. There was a lot of mining done here, so we could quite easily have. Not really, Joanne, because they've never really interacted on a level of, a personal level as such. It's not like they've been Casper the Friendly Ghost. Yeah, they're Victorian. Yeah, they're old. They've never been. It's never interacted as like a friendly, interactive type of ghost. It's always just been more of a let you know I'm here type of occurrences going on. But as to whether I'll miss them, no, not really. Um, I'm not attached to them in any way, shape, or form. I've only ever done one spirit box session in here when it first started happening, and I basically asked the question, um, why do you keep shouting my dogs? And I immediately got a response through the SB7 of to talk, and that was all. That was all I heard. So when I basically asked the question of why they were calling the dogs, the response was to talk, and that was it. 2 words, nothing else. No idea, Chris. You know, flickering lights could be a number of things. It may even be when your local um, generators and stuff swap over. Could be anything. I'm one of these people who, when anything happens, I always consider the paranormal as the last reason. As the last possible thing it could be. I don't tie every single knock, bang, and whatever I hear in this house as to something paranormal, because they're old houses. They settle, and houses they do have noises, but some things here simply can't be explained as normal. My son used to, Mags, when Jay was little, he used to say that his nana used to come to see him, and it was actually his mother's grandmother. He did point her out when he was about 7 or 8 in a photo album as the woman apparently she used to sit on his bed and talk to him when he was about 2 or 3. He'd constantly babble on about the woman who used to sit on his bed and talk to him. What numbers, Chris? What numbers are you talking about? Number 11. Is that appearing in your house? Me and Jason have been together. It will be. Hang on, let me think. 5 years this year. I actually met Jason while I was still living in Sheffield when I first moved up north. Jason's always lived in Rotherham. He was born and bred here. Can you remember when I was getting a lot of them communications about the was it number 2 or was it number 4? Can you remember, Mags? when we were doing some of the investigation stuff, and I kept getting it was number two, wasn't it? I kept getting a lot of number twos coming through on the spirit box when we were out on different locations. Has the number 11 got any significance to you, Chris? Is it somebody's birthday or something? Yeah, I went through a spate of getting the number two a lot for some strange reason. I think I got it 3 times when we did the Uber stand video, and it came through on the spirit box 3 times. Number two. Is what house number 5, Llama? Yeah, if you get in number 11 constantly, there's obviously some significance to it. You know, I've always been a firm believer in, things are done for a reason. Well, that's a cheery thought, Stephen. Perhaps how many years left to live? Lama people's personal addresses aren't something to be discussed on a public YouTube channel. Yeah, the thing is, Chris, if you're seeing it a lot, you're seeing it for a reason. You will work out the significance of it at some point. Maybe you need to put it on the lottery this week, then, Llama. I'd buy myself a lottery ticket with number 5 and pick a couple more and see if you get your big win this week. Yeah, Joanne, it ain't saying it's numerology linked. It may actually have another relevance. But if you're seeing it a lot at this point in time, I would say within the next couple of months you'll probably make the connection of what the 11 is, what number 11 relates to. See, Joanne, to me, numerology is like aromatherapy and things like that. I think they're more of a personal belief system than anything else. People say, sage your house if you've got evil entities and stuff. Personally, I don't believe in it. But I think it's all down to personal belief with stuff like that. It's the same with any, particularly so with the paranormal. I think a lot of it is down to personal experience. Actually, now, Lama, I've always considered my lucky number to be 9, not 5. Well, they sell the sage, the burning sage, don't they, Chris, to supposedly drive out evil spirits, quotation marks, and demons, quotation marks. It's not a belief I hold, but, if that's what somebody wants to believe in, that's totally up to them. Lama, I am not going to discuss my address on a live channel, so drop the subject. Well, you've got to ask yourself, Chris. Is it the sage that drives them out, or is it the person's belief itself, that drives them out, believing that the sage is going to work? I don't do demons. Full stop. Mags, you know my opinion on demons. They're another fictional creation, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, same here, Cherry. I like incense for the smell, but I don't think they've got any particular mystical properties. Well, look on the bright side, Stephen. If you do believe that sage works, you're gonna get nothing dicey in the house today. Yeah. If Well, there you go, Mags. If you believe Gucci it works. Maybe if you believe it enough, Gucci could be used as a sage stick. See, the problem with the paranormal is a lot of it does come down to personal belief, because no matter what evidence you provide to people, unless they experience it themselves, there is absolutely no way you can give them undeniable proof. Absolutely no way. I think the only way that things like ghosts would ever be um, proven one way or the other is if one appeared to a massive, massive crowd of people, say in the middle of a football match or something like that, and there were thousands of people who actually witnessed it at the same time. Yeah, it would be a rather expensive way of getting rid of unwanted entities, Mags. See, it's the same with angels and demons. I've never had a belief in angels or demons. I do believe that there's positive and negative energies, but I do not believe that Satan runs around with his little army of whatevers, making everybody's life a misery at every opportunity. I just don't believe it. And I also find it odd when people bring religion into the paranormal. Say a prayer before you go into this and go into that. Say a prayer before you contact the spirits. When in the Bible it specifically says that not to contact the dead. I think it's a bit of a contradiction. Well, I'm actually quite a firm believer in Wicca, Cherry, so it's considered more of a new year for me than Anything else? I'm a firm believer in whatever you do. You get the threefold return on it. It is, Chris. I have got absolutely no belief in demons whatsoever. And to be honest with you, I think for the last 18 months they've just been the go-to buzzword for YouTube channels to get views. I do honestly think they're just it's just a way to attract. It is clickbaity as far as I'm concerned. I don't knock anybody believing in them. If that's what they want to believe, that's their choice. Personally, I don't believe in them. And if things like I do believe there's negative entities, but I do not believe that they're like a little organised group that you know a bit like swinging, where they draw somebody's name out of the bowl and go and annoy them as a group thing. Yes, Joanne, very much so. Very much so. This is why I believe people who are doing what they're doing on the internet at the moment will have it returned back to them threefold. Exactly, Mags. Exactly, Mags. See, I come from a family where my mum's side of the family are all Church of England. My dad's side are all devout Catholic. So luckily my dad doesn't believe in it anymore. He was basically excommunicated from the Catholic Church because he married my mother in a Church of England church, and the Catholic priest excommunicated him on the spot. But if people want to believe in demons, that's their prerogative. Personally, I don't believe in them, and I don't believe they're appearing on people's YouTube videos. Yeah, but I was giving that example in terms of demons, Lama, because people seem to think the demons are this organised army led by Satan himself, whose only ambition in life is to make mere mortals miserable. It's just not something I believe in. Yeah, whatever anybody wants to believe, Chris, it's up to them. It's like I always say, I've always been of the opinion, as long as people aren't doing anything that's causing harm to other people, children or animals, they can do as and what they please. Depends on if you believe in them, Joanne. Um, Again, it's more of a positive reinforcement type thing. I think belief can go a long way in anything. If your belief in them is strong enough, who's to say what the human willpower is capable of achieving? Who's to say? There's people who believe that clear quartz amplifies spiritual power and things like that. I couldn't tell you what. Personally, I don't believe it, but if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. I do think a lot of things in the paranormal are influenced by personal belief, and I think you can affect your environment solely with belief. I really do. Well, you've only got to look at Native Americans, Joanne, for things like that. They've got a very deep-seated belief in all things like that, and they're probably one of the most spiritual nations on the planet. Yeah, Lama. To be honest with you, swinging parties were more of an heterosexual thing. A lot of people do with amethyst, Joanne. But like I say, I have looked into it, and I used to have a big crystal collection myself. But who's to say, one way or the other? Yeah, they do, Mags. They do, Mags. Wicca and the Native American religions are very closely related. Hi, Maureen. Yeah, I've got to be honest. I think my favourite um, semi-precious stone crystal, whatever, is onyx. I think I'm a typical Capricorn in that respect, or what astrologers say is typical of Capricorns. What do you mean by sexual-related paranormal activity, Llama? Are you talking incubus, succubus stuff? Yeah, we've got a lot of Capricorns in here today. I live quite two doors away from where I live. Joanne is a little parkway, an alleyway, and when the kids are going backwards and forwards and shouting, Coco just can't resist herself. Jason ain't here yet. He'll be here in a bit. Yeah, astrology is another thing that is all down to personal belief. You do seem to have a bit of an obsession with anything sexual, Llama. I do have to say. Do I think sexuality's got a place in paranormal study? Well, depends what you're interested in. It's not something I've basically got an interest in myself, but there's quite a few famous cases involving it. Look at the entity that was based on what was supposedly an incubus, or what would be classed as an incubus. Do I think there's a succubus at the Ram Inn? No. Do I think it would have been interested in Mark Smith? No. I don't think you can actually say that everybody born in late December, middle of January is going to be exactly the same. So, but there again, you can say from a psychological point of view, if people do um, have a strong belief in astrology, do they change their behaviour to conform to what they believe their star sign should be? Sex magic is quite an interesting subject, Mags. Believe it or not. Maybe you need to send it to Llama when you're finished with it. He may get a bit of relief from it. You know, from a Wiccan point of view, there's various, I suppose you'd call them schools of magic, but sex magic's just one of them. It is a very interesting subject, Mags. Very interesting subject. It's also probably one of the biggest sources of misconception regarding Wicca as well. Because everybody thinks, anybody who's a witch, people tend to get witchcraft and Satanism mixed up. In what respect, Lama? There are psychological studies that prove that the full moon does affect people's psychological well-being, not just women. It's both, Chris. They have actually done psychological studies on people's mental state through the phases of the moon, and they have shown that it can have an effect. Well, if you think about it logically, it's a known fact that the moon affects oceans and stuff. It affects water, and the body's what 90% water. So why would it not have an effect on us? So have you worked out what cryptoids are yet, Llama? Yeah, they all say that, Chris. So, are there any other personal beliefs anybody wants to ask questions about or my opinion on? Because if nothing else, I'm opinionated. Exactly, Max. Exactly. Never denied the fact. Nor should you, Max. You know, there's a lot of things in this life I believe in, and a lot of things I don't. But they're my beliefs, and anybody else's is totally up to them. The thing is with beliefs, Mags, you know, and particularly in relation to the paranormal, I think as long as you can keep your beliefs objective to what you're investigating, go for it. You're the same as my son Stephen. He's Aquarius. So have you had any paranormal experiences, Llama? Bye, Llama. I think she's asking about the emotes, Chris. I've had a few lucid dreams, Cherry. Um, I think they're more or less scientifically proven. No, Llama, I never said I was gay. Yes, I have a son. To be honest with you, Mags, I don't think the Bible or any other religious book should be brought into it anyway. You know, science and religion shouldn't be mixed. Because personally, I think that's when trouble starts. And what was it, Llama? Come on then, tell the world about your odd experience. We're all here with bated breath. That's funny, Joanne. My gran used to tell me they'd found me under a gooseberry bush. Yes, come on, Llama, we're waiting with bated breath. Right, guys, Jason's arrived, so I'm going to cut off the audio, but I will type to answer any questions for the next 5 minutes, okay? So thanks for coming on, but I need to turn the audio off because Jace is here. So just carry on chatting and I'll answer anything you ask. Talk to you in a bit. Bye.